Welcome back to the Two Thinking Apes. This is episode 7 now. We're on a bit of a hot streak, and with us today we have James Eagle, who's a motivational speaker amongst many other things. How are you?
I'm very good, my friend. Very good. Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Can you just start off by give us a bit of a backstory around Nickel Business Coaching and how you founded that?
I can. Yeah, especially as you pronounced it right, because most people call it nickel. So nickel is it. So it's not nickel and dime, it's nickel, which beautifully, you'll like this one, boys, is my wife's name. My kid's name's glued together.
Yeah, Ellie told me that today.
Yeah, you see, Carson, he the typical male reaction, whereas more the female fraternity think that's really nice what I've done there. So,
yeah. Mine was a bit of a mixed one. I think it's pretty cute, if I'm being honest.
Is that the reaction you want by it? Cute?
Yeah, well, from someone like Costin, yeah, definitely, yeah. I'm very happy.
He works in construction, so he's a bit of a man's man, Costin.
Oh, well,
no, I'm a big softie on the inside.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, Nickel's been going since 2003 in the UK and 2013 in Australia. So yeah, it was set up initially as sort of a training consultancy, really. If you want the sort of the backstory as to why I went self-employed and where it all came from.
Yes, please.
I had the 5 best years working for a company by the name of Virgin, if you've come across them before.
Yeah.
And a guy who shares a similar trait in facial hair to the three of us, and so much the bearded one of Richard Branson. They were the 5 greatest non-corporate years of my life, working for an organisation who is so clear around what it stands for. And the vision Branson created, and it created a momentum, an unstoppable force of people and human existence in that organization, which was just a joy to be part of. There's a cliche which you'll get used to as you go through your careers, which is, if you find a job that you love doing, not a day will feel like, proper work. And that's exactly how Virgin felt. It was phenomenal. It taught me everything I need to know about having a compelling culture where everyone's there for the same and right reason, and everyone loved doing their job, which didn't feel like a job. And it taught me everything I needed to know about brand as well, what a brand stands for and how you make it live. The reason I left
Virgin.
Sorry, say again.
What was your role at Virgin?
So we were a contact center essentially. Virgin Money was what I was involved in. I wasn't in Virgin cabin crew, which some people think I was. It's because of my boyish good looks and moisturized skin.
Oh, that's where my mind first went.
Yeah, they honestly thought
my cryovac butter chicken.
yeah, chicken or beef. More wine, sir? Yeah, I can do that. But no, Virgin Money was financial services. So I ran the sales team, the contact center. So we had an inbound sales team, an outbound sales team. And we were phoning people up about the exciting topics of life insurance, critical illness insurance. God, I'm boring myself talking about it. Pensions and all that sort of good stuff. But the thing about that was, what Virgin made it made it sexy. It made insurance products sexy. And people bought because they wanted to be part of the Virgin thing. It wasn't buying the product, they were buying it because it was Virgin. It wasn't, they needed insurance necessarily. Yes, they did. But they bought it from us because we made the experience different. And that's the thing around brand, how you make brand come alive, is that you're true to your values and people feel it by dealing with you. And so March 2003, I inherited a boss who for me just didn't live the same values as to why I joined the organization. So I resigned halfway through a 2-week holiday in terms of being away from the company. I've just taken out a mortgage on 4 times my income. Both the kids are just put in private school. Don't judge me on that one. I can explain that through if you want me to. Although looking at you two, you're probably very highly educated as well, and your parents have invested thousands in you as well, which you'll repay one day, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely will repay.
And so I had a business plan on an Excel document that I'd written a few months before, which was around setting up my own business. And that new boss who came in, he was the best thing that happened to me because he forced me to live my dream and my proper calling, which was to set up my own thing. So I backed myself and set up Nickel in 2003 in the UK. So that's where it started. Anyway, that's where it started.
Oh, far out.
I'm currently trying to start a business plan for my own little thing. How do you get started, first of all? Like, what do you start with? And then how like, what's the expectation from, I don't know, any potential lenders or anyone you got to show it to? Like, does it have to be a massive, in-depth? Like, I'm just not sure where to start, really.
It's a great question. In so much I smile because 2 of the 90-minute conversations, put it that way, today I've had with people is around exactly that thing, costing around writing business plans. My approach to writing business plans is very different, I think, to most people. So what they go for is like the weight test, WEIGHT, which is how big can I make the document so if it falls on someone, it will kill them. I question the purpose of that. Reverse engineer it and start to think about very simply. So you'll pick up very quickly. Taylor already knows it because he's met me before, but I'm a very simple person. I think there are 4 questions you ask yourself in business. Why are you doing it? And if that why is compelling enough, that will be enough to drive you through the darkest days when you think you're failing.
Yeah.
What is the current state and the undeniable truth about where you are today, given where you want to go? And therefore work out what the gap is. 2 other questions and levers to fill the gap. Who do you need and who do you need to be? Do you actually need to change who you are? And I don't mean like, in terms of some of the changes that are going on these days, in terms of gender change. Although each to their own. I mean, come on, seriously, boys. I'm in the Olympics, right? And in about 10 years' time, it'll go on for about 5 years because they'll have so many different categories of gender. Anyway, that's for a different topic, different podcast. But in terms of who do you need to be, because you move from the person who's in corporate land to the self-employed entrepreneur, it is a transition. And the final question, so there's why, there's what, there's who, and there's how. And the how is where the plan sits. But I would keep it simple. There are plenty of business plan templates out there, but the sorts of questions I'd be asking clients and people like you are, what are your true motivators, true drivers? What is your unique selling point? What are you offering to the market that no one else has offered yet? So can I ask what business are you thinking?
Oh, it's nothing new. It's just my own construction company. I can get my license when I finish uni. So yeah.
Yeah, but mate, to be fair, I'm a consultant, so I'm a C word. So think about that for a minute. I mean, for me, there are another, I don't know how many thousands of consultants out there, all who basically what consultants are known for is they come in and tell you what you probably already know and then invoice you 2 weeks later. So what's my unique selling point is I'm very hardwired to what I believe around human beings and human being performance. And I'm very hardwired around things like commitment, accountability, and those things. So in other words, my values and what I believe in strongly is where my strengths lie, and that's what I play to, and that's my differentiating factor. So when I talk about your unique selling point, it's easy to define it. The unique selling point is you. That's what you have different over every single person on this planet, let alone industry or companies. So the CVP, your client value proposition, is all centered around you and how you get across you and your personality. Because people buy people, they don't buy products, which is really lucky for people like me, because otherwise I'm just selling consultancy. Yeah. Like at Virgin, we sold insurance. That's the outcome. But the reason people did business with us is because they loved the experience of dealing with us, because we made it different. Yeah. We've got a guy working on our house now. I really like the guy. That's why he gets our jobs. Is he the cheapest? Nope. Do we have fun with him? Yeah. Are all his boys great? Yeah. That's why we have him back.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if he's crap at his job, that might cool. There is that. You have to be competent. But the very fact is, we like him. We engage with him.
You don't have to be the best. You just need to have that connection. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Use it, Taylor.
I'm taking these out, so it's echoing in my ears. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Think about coffee. So when we were allowed to go out and play with other people, right, before we're in lockdown, think about the experience buying coffee. You don't go to that dude because he charges, $6 for a coffee or whatever, and it's the best coffee. You go there for the experience. The very fact he remembers your name or she remembers your name, or or remembers your order, even more important, because when that happens, it's like the parting of the seas in the Bible.
That was me at the pub a few weeks before lockdown. The guy, I just walked up and the guy's like, just the usual, and started pouring my rum. I'm like, oh, this is godly.
Oh, I see. That's different, mate. That's where you need to seek help. But no, the same does apply, because everyone else hears that and go, oh my God, who is this guy? And everyone parts, and it makes you feel good. So you'll go back there despite the fact the coffee tastes like road tar and it's $6 a cup. So we buy experiences, and that's what I try and create in terms of the business. And that's what I try and coach people on as well, which is it's not about the product and is the outcome. It's like earning money. It's the outcome if you get all the other stuff that you can actually control right. So in terms of business plans, keep it simple and keep it very focused and sniper-like, focusing on your strengths and why you're going into business.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense. I hate that question, by the way. So every time I ask that, so I might as well say, "Are you stupid? Do I need to repeat?"
And I'll say no.
Yeah, and then I'll say, "Sorry, mate, you only get one chance with me, which is 1 minute out, so you don't get another chance." But there's a whole body of work done around this whole vision piece and the word why. What finds your why? There's loads of advertising campaigns done in this country around finding your why. Everyone has a why. It comes from a guy called Simon Sinek. Yeah, heard of him? Yeah. Well, he's one of my heroes, hands down. He fundamentally changed the way I look at business and the way I coach and the way I do my business. And he just came up with the idea of the golden circle, which is when you're so hardwired on your why and you know what the vision you want to create for yourself, everything else takes care of itself. But people tend to get it around the wrong way. They focus on the outcome. Like if you're in sales, they focus on what your sales target is. If you want to earn money, you focus too much on what you want to earn rather than the operating rhythm of what will get you earning that good money.
That's another question I had. Does it have to be a business orientated dream, or can it just be a personal dream? Because mine is more personal than business orientated, but the business is a tool to get to it, sort of thing.
Yeah, if that's the case, mate, that's more powerful than having the business one. So I have two, and everyone should have two, because fundamentally you're an individual first and foremost. And the more emotive you have those drivers, the more powerful they are. Right? So share with me what yours is then, if you can.
Oh, it's pretty cringeworthy for a 22-year-old, but it's sort of like a vision of me sitting on my back veranda when I'm an old grandpa, whatever, in my 60s, 70s, rocking on my chair, maybe a scotch in the hand, watching my grandkids run around playing footy in the backyard together, having fun, and me being able to provide that life for them. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So describe that in fewer words, but in terms of more of a feeling. What are you feeling if that was what you achieved?
Oh, just pure happiness.
Okay, pure happiness. Taylor, I don't know if you noticed what happens to his eyes when I ask him that question. They go up to the right, which is where you create it, right? So you're actually picturing it. When you describe that scene to me, I'm picturing it. Yeah? You kind of have freedom, you have control, you have choices, you've achieved pure happiness. Just have to be careful with happiness because it's a temporary state like anger.
Yeah.
Realign it to contentment. It's more of a long-term thing. That just sounds like an old person talking now. But the more emotive you make it, so mine are two words. One's an F word, one's a C word. Oh, here's where the podcast gets pulled.
You can
freedom and control are my two massive drivers. So if you think about it, being self-employed, I have the ultimate freedom. I have no one to report to. I can do what the hell I like when I like. The downside is when I don't work, I don't earn money. Whereas all these guys sitting in, employed land, they have a steady, regular income. The difference is if I choose not to work from 9 o'clock any day, I'm not answerable to anyone. But remember what I said about accountability. I hold myself very accountable to that stuff. The control element is incredibly motivating. So think again about self-employed. I have control of my own time, which sort of gives me control over how I live my life completely. The downside is you constantly have to be thinking about where you're getting work from.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's the trade-off. That's the trade. But it's incredibly motivating. Do you ever think I would trade what I've got to go and work for someone? I say this, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but I'd rather be dead than work for anyone.
Did you always know you wanted to work for yourself?
Pardon?
Did you always know you wanted to work for yourself?
No, not at all. Not at all. It happened at Virgin. When I was doing at Virgin in the UK, people want to hear the Virgin story about Branson and what's it like to work for an organisation like that. So we got a lot of speaking gigs. So I went around doing the speaking gigs, like a performing seal. Throw him a fish, put a ball on his nose. And that in itself, there's a couple of things we fear in life: death, taxes, and public speaking. Apparently, the three biggest fears. So I overcome my fears of public speaking. But slowly, people used to come up to me and go, well, that's amazing, James. You know, what your story about, can you come and tell us how you do that and come and work with our team? And I thought, oh, there's a business case to be out here. So that's when I wrote the business plan in November 2002, having presented to 600 people in Glasgow up in Scotland.
Yeah.
And it stayed in a drawer until that new boss came along 4 months later. And he was the catalyst to pull it out and go, right, let's do this. Back yourself. Let's see where we go with this. And
that's my biggest thing. Backing myself out of a decent paying job with a paycheck that covers all my current expenses.
It's like having kids, mate. It's that there's never the right time. You just have to be in that position where you're backing yourself enough to go, if I don't do this, I'm going to look back on life with the regrets, because that's another thing for me. I can't, either you give it 100% or you give it nothing. That's my adage. And whether that's life, sport, social, or anything, that's the way I live. So I can't die wondering. So I had to give it a go. And, it's worked out pretty well.
Can I ask, so for my case, I feel like I'd want to do something for myself eventually, but I feel like I need industry experience first to find, because I don't know what that would be, but I just know that I'd want to do something for myself eventually. Is that me just making myself content with doing nothing? No.
You know what I said about the unique selling point or the CVP? So in business terminology, the USP, that's not a USB, that's something you shove in the front side of your computer, but a USP, your unique selling point, your CVP. At your age, my view on how you break into that world is you have something unique and you have a product or you have a skill that you can instantly take out to market.
But like you said, isn't the skill everyone's individual self, I guess?
Yeah, let me throw it back to you then. So what have you got to offer the world?
I think I can communicate well.
Okay, cool. Keep going, because that's not enough.
I think I can. I'm like what you said before, where you may not be the best at a product, but if you're competent, then if you create a good experience for someone, then they'll go back to you. So I think I'm good at creating that experience, or at least that's that trait that I want to increase for myself.
What experience do you want to create?
That's what I mean. I need somewhere to channel it.
Right. Okay. So what are you going to do? How are you going to use your skill of communication to build a business?
Not sure yet. That's why I don't have a business.
Yeah. So if you said, James, I've come up with this voice interfacing system that no one else has come across, and when you press this button, this happens, I'll go, holy shit, let me have a look at this. I want to invest in this because this is going somewhere. Then you've got something. Or you have to do what I did, which is over time you build up your credibility.
Okay.
And you get your name out there. So this isn't arrogance, but I've never had to go hunting for work.
Yeah.
It's all word of mouth because people know me for what I am. But at the end of the day, I'm just a consultant, just like some of these other people out there. But I've built up my own brand and reputation over time.
Yeah. Okay.
But if I was the first consultant to ever enter Australia back in 2008 when we emigrated, they go, oh my God, who is this guy? Where's he been sent from? We must come. That doesn't work like that unless you've got that absolute niche product, like an Uber.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Where you've got people where that company is not making any money, but you've got people who are now billionaires, the ones who came up with it. Yeah. It's that sort of idea, which I'm not being funny, boys, but like if you can come up with the app, the next one, that's where they're making money, right?
Yeah, I've been trying since I was 12.
Okay, and how's that going? How's that working out?
No good, but I've come up with an invention that I've got patented at the moment.
Good. All right. Okay. Well, I'm not sure whether you're going to share that or not, but you've got it patented, so you're probably safe. But
oh yeah, no, Dad's a patent attorney, so I'm actually set in that.
That's another lesson. It's one of the ones I trip out regularly as well, Costin, is it's never what you know, it's who you know as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. We got taught that a lot in our private schooling, or we not taught it, but we sort of picked up on it as we got older.
Okay. But it's like, one of the clients I was talking to, and most of my clients become good mates as well. So when I say client, mate, they're probably one and the same, is we talked about you become the average of the three people you spend the most time with in life. And you kind of do. And one of my rules, when you said, look, you introduced me as a motivational speaker, that's a small part of what I do. But last Thursday, I did a 2-hour session to a group. And I made the point very early on to exactly what you said. Surround yourself with awesome people and see where you end up. If you've got something, they'll find it in you and they'll help you. They'll put their arm around you and they'll take you where you want to go. Because it's quite easy to shine these days. Because there's so many drop kicks out there. There are so many people who aren't willing to take ownership for their own outcomes, destiny, the whole lot. And maybe
why do you
that's
think that is.
Why I think. No, okay. Old person alert coming up. I think we're all getting softer, and I think
I agree with that.
We've become a woke society, and everyone's got an opinion about everything, and we kowtow too easy. We've lost a bit of an edge. I think we're in danger of being, I don't know, weak. And it scares me really. But I think I can still hear my dad saying the same thing about, you know, like 20 years ago, saying the same thing. I think it's a generational thing. It's the same view on music, you know. So when I say, I go, holy crap, what are you listening to, my kids? And I can hear my dad saying the same to me at that age. It's that sort of, it's just a belief system, I think, playing out.
Interesting. A lot to think about. Can I ask, when moving from UK to Australia, how's that like when you're carrying a business? Did you start from scratch?
Oh, okay. Yeah, good question. So when I came over, I did 5 years working for someone in a corporate. And my wife said to me, I think you're underestimating working for someone again. And I went, no, it'll be fine. I'm going to Australia where, you know, I'll do a strict 9 to 5. We'll be on the beach by 5:10. It'll be fantastic. 2 days after we landed, the GFC hit.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, the global financial crisis that, you know, brought the world to its knees. So the whole world changed and it became very stressful in the first couple of years. And I had 5 years working for AMP, who have been in the news in the last few years.
Yeah.
The Royal Commission, all the other stuff. Not much of it good, I'm afraid. In fact, they're in the news again yesterday because of the massive changes they've announced. But anyway, I had 5 bosses in 5 years.
What were you doing? Sales?
Trying to avoid not getting sacked most of the time because I was unmanageable. Once you run your own business for whatever it was, 10 years before I came out here, not quite 10, you're always right because you're making decisions for you and your business, and you have it develops a very strong psyche and a hardwired approach to what is right and what's not. And when you have people who disagree with you, but you know they're wrong, that creates a lot of tension in relationships. One of those bosses I had for 2.5 years, so it doesn't say much about me with the others. But over that time, to my point earlier, over those 5 years, I just networked and built up some very strong relations with people. And so when I was ready to go out on my own in 2013, I had that network ready to go. And so when they knew I was out in market, you know, it wasn't that difficult. I don't mean to sound cocky saying that. It's just, you know, it's about the people thing, and they knew what I did, and the two things came together. I did 5 years working for someone before setting up my own thing.
So I'm at 5 years now, and I think the relationships are a big part of it as well. Because even for I'm got a place that I'm building out on the coast at the moment, and even the guys that do work for me are like offering to help out with that, and like not for me as in for the company that I work for, but under me, they're even offering to help out and do stuff like that. So it does go to show how much, I don't know, the effect of a good relationship with someone has, and how much easier it can make your life when you go out on your own, I guess.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I'm not sure who listens to the podcast, and they're probably thinking
thousands,
millions of people.
Millions, yeah.
Sorry. But there's a few rules that people teach you, and I like phrases. If you go on Instagram, you probably trip over these, and there's millions of them, and so they just walk over you. But there's a handful I always go with, which is treat people as you want to be treated, and be very mindful of how you treat people on the way up, because sometimes you meet them on the way down again. And I know that sounds a little bit, that's a bit dramatic, James. But I've got plenty of cases where people have trodden their way to the top, hit the ceiling, come back down again, and they meet those same people they tread on the way back down. It's a very awkward conversation for those people. And I could name names, but I wouldn't. But the whole people thing, costing around, I say to clients quite literally, on a blank piece of paper, Draw a line down the middle. On the left-hand side, write down the names of people you need to be spending more time with, or the ones you need to keep the relationships going. So you're always out there, you're always connecting. On the right-hand side, write down the names of the people you need to start moving out of your life. Now, word of warning. If that's family, you have to be very careful with those ones on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
But think about that. So if you said to me, James, it'd be great if I could have an introduction to Richard Branson. I can't provide that to you, but I know people who know him, and by luck and affair, when you might get to meet him. And I said to someone today, one of the roles I play with clients is I introduce people to people who I think could benefit enormously from having a coffee together or just meeting over a Zoom. It happened at 2:00 this afternoon. My old boss at Virgin met a guy I've known for 18 months because I think there's some excellent synergies there. Where it'll go, who knows? What do I get from it right now? Nothing apart from a warm feeling, because it's the right thing to do, So yeah, you're right, Costin. It's all about people, all about people. And when you run business, if you get the people bit right and you have a high performing team where everyone's engaged there for the right reason, everything else takes care of itself. Look after the clients, they look after the customers, they look after each other, and they look after shareholders. But business goes around the wrong way. They focus on shareholders and try and work it back in. You can't do that.
Yeah. I guess you'd have to also take into account the people that you have working for you or with you as well, because they'd be almost as important, or if not more important, than the people that you're selling your product to and the relationship with them, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you recruit people not based on the fact they can do a job for you. Recruit them on the basis they share the same values as you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you have a misalignment of values, you'll have a lot of trouble with them, period, full stop. And it's the whole Virgin model. Get the people right, everything else takes care of itself. Yeah. But what most people do is they'll recruit you on the basis of what your CV looks like. Well, I'm not being funny, but I can look good on a CV and a covering letter because I'll get someone else to do it for me.
Yeah.
But when I question you in an interview and I start asking you questions around emotion and values and what you really truly stand for and what your parents brought you up to believe in, you cannot hide that stuff.
Yeah.
And so we do heaps of work around setting core organizational values and how to live them within their organizations. That's why the Virgin thing was so compelling, because that's what they did. They lived for the values. Number 5 value at Virgin begins with F, fun. We measured how much fun we were having every week. And if we weren't having enough, we worked out how we're going to have more.
How do you measure that? Or
how? Well, it's a really good question, because we didn't have a funometer in there. But what we did was we talked about it, said, well, how's the vibe in it? And because you talk about, well, yeah, I noticed this, or I noticed that, or I had feedback from X. What gets measured gets done. So just talking about it is a measurement. But what most companies do is they just have them all as glossy things that hang down from the ceiling, or as screensavers, their values. They're called, what a load of bollocks. No, it's not. If you don't live it, it's not your value, because it lives here. If it's here, it doesn't drive behavior of anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun at Virgin because it was important, because most of the kids were your age, not being patronising, and most of the workforce were your age. Yeah, so you needed to have fun, especially when, we ran a shift from 8 till 10 p.m., 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Although there was a few stories I could share, but that's not for the podcast.
Do you think if that boss never came, that ship boss, you wouldn't have started your own thing? Because you said before it was your calling. How did you find that?
Yeah, great question. I often think whether I'd still be at Virgin in England. Yeah. That's why I say it's the best and worst thing that ever happened to me, because the end of my time, I was loving it. But it's the best thing, because he's the catalyst to get that business plan out the drawer and make it happen. Yeah. I don't know. It's a sliding doors moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't think like that.
Yeah, well, you can, because I think it's like lots of moments like that in your life. Terrible phrase, but it is what it is. It happened. He happened.
That's a staple of the construction industry.
It is what it is. What? That wall's not straight. Well, it is what it is. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, it's every second sentence. Oh, we're shut down. Oh, it is what it is. Oh, that's not really right.
Yeah, that was definitely a phrase from, I think, last year. The word of this year I'm finding is pivot. How many people say pivot? Have you not come across that now?
Not really, no.
I haven't.
Instead of
maybe in your circles,
we're going to pivot. Yeah, that's the new buzzword, apparently. So, yeah, look out for that one. You'll hear it now tomorrow, because what you focus on grows. You'll hear
is that in reference to like sort of, but pivot, like changing sort of how you react to something or changing what you do? Like,
Your ability to move and move quickly is where they use it in business.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we need to pivot on this quickly. We need to pivot. So you mean we need to change? Right, good. Let's use proper English. Just because you've gone on Google Words or something and come up with a new word. The other favourite one at Virgin was straw man. So if you're going to pull together, Costin, if we're going to pull together a straw man for your business plan, it means a frame, a skeletal frame, a straw man.
Oh, yeah.
Right, do you know what a straw man is? Yeah, apart from what I've just described. Because in England, it's something they stick in fields to keep the crows away.
Scarecrow.
Yeah, scarecrow.
Yeah? So that's what we started to call it. I said, if we start this, actually it wasn't, I'm not taking credit for this, but my boss said, let's call it a scarecrow and see how long it takes to become part of the vernacular. I'm not kidding you. By the end of the week, people said, okay, we need to pull together a scarecrow on this plan. Let's meet. Let's
sexy corporate chat.
Yeah, it is. It's absolute BS. It so is. Just talk normal, says the man from England talking to the people in Australia. Yeah. So.
Did you notice any changes in business in terms of dealing with people when you moved from the UK?
England to Australia.
Well, yeah, I don't hear bollocks that often.
That's my favourite word in the English language because it's so expressive. You cannot be anything but expressive when you say bollocks. Culture is a massive differences. So Australia's it's much more like the States than it is England. And that's why so many English people struggle to settle here. They just think it's like England, but warmer.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and most of the animals or creatures will kill you. Whereas over in England, it's, hypodermic needles or crashing into a shopping trolley discarded on the beach. But yeah, culturally, it's massively different. So even like name use, it's great for people who can't remember people's names because you just call everyone mate. And the way they do business over here, much more relaxed and much more behind the times. That's how I found.
I know it's behind the times. Even in construction, a couple of the guys that I used to work with moved over to the UK to do construction for big companies over there, and I was having a chat to them, and they were saying that we are years and years and years behind everywhere else in the world, just in construction.
In terms of, say, banking, so I know people in banking. He came over from the UK. He was telling me a story, like he introduced this thing, whatever it was. Can't remember exactly what it was. And it was like he'd discovered, the Holy Grail or something. The reaction he got was, where did you learn this stuff? And he's sitting there going, this is pretty basic, what I'm talking about. But obviously he milked it for all it was worth for a good couple of
100%.
And he pretended he was the Messiah. But yeah, it was quite startling. But then on the other hand, what I find is like with business and schools, Australia's a lot more focused and dedicated to their cause than in the UK. In the UK, it's kind of just a job. And then we wait till Thursday or Friday night so we can go down the pub and have a few Stella Artois and have a fight in the car park. Whereas over here, you look at the school system, far more focused on not a great education, on making sure my kids go to the best school. There's a hell of a lot of school snobbery over here compared to England.
100%. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's about where my little Johnny or Mary goes, and it's one-upmanship. That was quite striking when we came over. But yeah, business, there are some stark differences. But culturally, this place is much more like the States compared than the UK.
Do you find that it's better for you dealing with Australians than English, just from your approach?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking the current clients thing. I've got a mixture of both. There's one guy who's English. If you listen to him speak, you'd think he's off a sitcom. You'd think he's straight off EastEnders because he's like what you all think every single English person talks like. And every other word is a swear word. But yeah, it's pretty agnostic in that respect. And the other thing is, my client base is very evenly split male-female as well. So it's non-denominational. I'm like poster boy for diversity and everything else, basically. I'll come one, come all. That's what I say.
Yeah, okay. Business is business at the end of the day, I guess.
Yeah, all I can do and all you can do, this is back to the earlier point, is if you're true to yourself, true to your values, stick to what you're strong at, and have a dabble now and again with what you're not good at, but pushing yourself out of the comfort zone is the only time you'll ever develop and grow, then people will come to you. You'll attract those who believe what you believe. There's a phrase there straight out of Simon Sinek's mouth that we talked about earlier. But if you talk about what you believe in, it's a bit like Costin. If you say, look, I'm a strong believer in creating freedom and control and having choices in my life, hey, guess what? People who believe that also want to listen and hear more from you. That's how you start putting yourself out there and, I don't know, being true to yourself, true to your values, and having some fun with it, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm going to start it at some point in the next, who knows. I started sitting down the other night to have a look at it, dot pointed a few ideas down, but
yeah. Well, mate, by all means, send it my way. I'm more than happy to cast my eye over it. And I've got an opinion on everything, so I'll definitely.
That's all right. As long as it's an honest opinion, that's all that matters.
Oh, yeah, you will get an honest opinion. Don't worry. Yeah, you will. Yeah,
Can I ask one more thing? Do you have any books you recommend?
Books?
Anything you read or watched? Some sort of info that grabbed you?
Okay. I'll give you the books that I give out most of the time. When I say give out, I mean references. Although last Thursday at the workshop, I did give away copies of two of these books. One book is called Legacy by a guy called James Kerr. It's the story of the New Zealand All Blacks. He spent time with them, and it's 15 rules of why the All Blacks are statistically the most successful sports team in the world. And every single one of those rules applies to us in business or life generally. Yeah, it's phenomenal book. So Legacy by James Kerr. Very topically, there's a lady called Kerry Pothast, who you won't remember because let's think about this, because you probably weren't even born. Maybe you were.
98.
2000 Olympics, Sydney 2000 Olympics. She won beach volleyball gold. Yeah. She wrote a book called The Business of Being an Athlete. It's the best business book I've read, but it's not even a business book. It's written by a sportswoman, but it's all about mindset and winning mindset. It was the book that kind of tipped me over the edge to go self-employed in Australia because I was sitting at home with a busted ankle, having played football. And I read it and I thought, this is it. This is what I need to do. This is all I needed to read. So it's all about mindset and how you translate mindset into like a winning formula. That'd be the top two. When you get into working with teams, there's a book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by a chap called Patrick Lencioni, which talks about in the opposite situation where you don't have certain things in a team, this is what happens. So he talks about where you have no trust, where you have no conflict, where you have no commitment, no accountability, and you don't focus on results, what that can look like. Why it's so good is because the people who are reading that book are probably in exactly that situation and can relate to it instantly. Then he talks about how you move it around. It's a phenomenal case study book. So there's a few there. I always like The Hungry Caterpillar as well, but that's another story.
We know that one.
Died the other week, yeah. In the light of the moon lay a little egg on a leaf or something like that. No, but seriously, those 3 books, great reads. The Legacy one is probably more relatable to your audience, I'd have thought, because they can relate to the All Blacks. There's something pretty special going on with those dudes, and it's no accident why they're so good. And it's in that book. 15 rules of why they're so good are in that book.
Interesting.
Wait, do you follow the EPL?
Are you talking about the Premier League that you have chosen to abbreviate into 3 letters?
Yes, the English Premier League.
That's better. Well done. Yes, I do. I follow football, if that's your question. And my team's Norwich City, and they've been promoted again to the Premier League. And they're the most yo-yo club now in the history of the Premier League.
I can't talk. I go for Arsenal, and I've been going for a while, and it was a very depressing season. I must admit.
Yeah, but you know what? It'll do them good. They'll rebuild and come back. I see they might be signing James Maddison, or they're chasing him from Leicester. That'll be a cracking signing.
It would be good.
It all goes in cycles. I mean, that was a huge part of our lives in the UK. I followed them home. Well, seasons get older for God knows how many years, and away. Huge part of my life. That's a big difference between England and Australia.
Yeah, I got no idea.
The way we follow sport.
I only started getting into it because of FIFA back in the day. I think the first FIFA I ever got was like FIFA 08.
Yeah, cool.
And then I started going for Arsenal because of Theo Walcott.
Yeah, who's now gone back to Southampton, back to his roots where he started. Yeah, no, a few trips to Highbury. Never been to the Emirates though. Highbury was where they were before, but yeah, I could tell you some stories about that. But the atmosphere in the grounds in England, whether you've got 5,000 or 50,000, never been replicated. I've never experienced anything like it.
And I want to go back. My parents took us in 2012, long ago. I want to go back like on my own or with a mate and experience that side of it as well. And the pubs, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't. Well, the two go very, very much hand in hand. as my fellow countryman demonstrated so ably recently in the European Championship final.
Yeah.
Well done, gentlemen. Great performance. Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh,
thanks for that.
Thanks for that. I think that's a good spot to wrap it up.
That's
a
good
cool.
Spot,
no problem at all.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks for that, James. Thanks for coming on and thanks for the advice.
Yeah, thank
you.
you.
I know what to think about. After all of these, I sit there and have a think about things.
Yeah, no problem at all. Anytime. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, James.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah.